in honor of our last show, we're going to do another fun segment. So back in the day when I was just a fetus on Shamrock Sports, I used to do a segment that was Ellen's 3 keys to the game. It looked a little bit like this. We'll show you a clip.
I'm Ellen Geyer, and these are 3 keys to this week's game.
Music on that clip was always egregiously loud, and if you looked and
Still
you
is.
watched, if you watched down in the midfield comments, people would just like shoot up when the music came on. So that was always really fun.
Yeah, wake them up somehow.
But yeah, I never heard the end of that at like Thanksgiving or family holidays or anything. And one particular person has also helped me never hear the end of it.
I mean, you made it a tradition.
So
3 keys.
in honor of that, we're going to do, Paul and I are each going to go through our keys to the game. And Paul, I'll let you kick it off.
Okay, so my number 1 key to the game here, trying to digest everything that I just took in there. It's Ian Book. It comes down to Ian Book making a handful of plays that will be necessary to win. Now, he doesn't have to be perfect the whole game. He doesn't need to be explosive, the focal point of the offense. But I'm expecting 2 to 5 scenarios throughout the game where Ian Book is going to have to make a play with his legs or make a tight throw on the run. Something, a 3rd and 12 situation where Ian Book will need to really take control of the offense. And you can only rely on Kyron Williams so much. Now, Ian Book, he's been very good on 3rd down this year. Against Georgia Tech on passing plays on 3rd down, he was 6 for 9 converting. So he's been good the past few weeks. We mentioned the efficiency of the passing offense. But this is your time, Ian. This is your time to take control.
Ian, if you're watching this program, listen to everything Paul is saying, please.
This is the game. This is a game that can come back and define his career a little bit. And of course, he'll have to go and do it again, hopefully against Clemson in the ACC championship game. But if you lose this game, that's really the consequence. If you lose this game, what does Ian Book have to show for his Notre Dame career? What big game has he won? I don't think there is one.
Maybe I hope he's not watching because you might be hurting his feelings.
No,
but
it's time for him to take
I hurt
control.
his feelings every week, so it's probably fine.
I think he can do it. I think he's a good quarterback.
All right, so Ian Book is number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2 for me is the coordinator matchup between Brent Venables and Tommy Rees.
Okay.
So Venables, he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Some would consider him the best defensive coordinator in the country. And I'm curious to see exactly how he's going to approach this Notre Dame team. Is he going to follow suit of Pittsburgh and Georgia Tech and creep in those defensive backs, those safeties, to try and help out stopping the run? Because you have to remember, this Notre Dame offensive line, it's senior-led, it's experienced, very good.
Scary.
And they're going up against a pretty young Clemson defensive line, especially considering the suspensions and the injuries. So what is Venables going to do to be able to counter the rushing attack? He's very good at taking away one particular facet of an offense. So when he sneaks those safeties in, how will Tommy Rees counter? Is he going to go to the screen game, the short slant game? Is he going to stick to the run and try and challenge him head on?
He stuck to the run last week.
That's what we've been doing all year. That's who we are. But I'm very curious to see how Tommy Rees, and really his first test as a coordinator, responds to Brent Venables.
I like that. That's a good take. What's key number 3?
A little bit of a different take than
a little
some of the other ones.
A little bit of a change up, a little bit more I don't know, unimportant information than what we've been covering so far this show, but I mean, I guess that's for you to decide. But what's key number 3, Paul?
Key number 3, and we're going to go back to this happy guy here, Travis Etienne.
Oh, he's so happy.
Notre Dame has to be able to control him. That's where it starts and ends with this Clemson team, and we've seen teams all year try and do this against Clemson. They're stacking the box. You need to slow down Etienne and make DJ Uyunglele.
Good job.
How was that?
That was a good one. Did we get that on tape?
Yeah, you need to make DJ Uyunglele win the game with his arm. Okay. So Etienne, the fear for Etienne is that coming out of the backfield, he's potentially the best receiver on this Clemson team.
Yeah.
7 catches, 140 yards last week. He can beat you in a variety of ways. So I'm excited to see that matchup between Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Etienne out of the backfield, exactly how we're going to try and stop him. You can't let him win the game, though. And he can do that. He's the best player on the field.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, those are pretty good ones.
Solid keys.
So I guess it's my turn, and I'm Ellen Geyer, and these are 3 keys to this week's game. I had a similar one to you in controlling the ground game, but for me, it's more on Notre Dame's side in terms of that offensive line has to just be as scary as it looks when you watch the games on TV. So Liam Eichenberg and Jarrett Patterson have to be able to stop those, plug those holes, and make sure that the ground game stays under control. So that's 1. 2, I think you have to eat the clock. If you're Notre Dame, every possession is valuable, and if you're going to continue to rely on the run game, I think that just always takes more time.
So, question for you: do you think that Notre Dame cannot win a shootout here?
Ooh.
If this game gets into the range of 30, 35 points, do you think Notre Dame, can they compete with Clemson on that level?
I think yes. I don't think it's going to get to that point, though. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I do think that it's going to be really important to control the clock. That's something Notre Dame hasn't been able to do in these big games before. In the Cotton Bowl, it was 27 minutes time of possession for the Irish, 32 for Clemson. And in that Georgia game we saw last year, it was 25 minutes of possession for Notre Dame and 34 minutes for Georgia. And obviously in both of those cases, the game went in favor of the team who was able to exploit the clock to their benefit. So I think that if the Irish want to really contend this week, that's going to be really important. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be the battle in the secondary. You have to put DJ under pressure. In the Cotton Bowl, obviously it was Trevor Lawrence, but Notre Dame had 3 quarterback hurries. They're going to have to really, really, really make this young quarterback sweat, especially since it's in Notre Dame Stadium. It's a night game. College game day is here. We don't have the advantage of the weather that we were hoping we were going to have, but DJ's a young quarterback. He's inexperienced. His minutes prior to last week have been largely garbage minutes, so it'll be interesting to see what he does against a more legitimate offense than the Boston College team he saw last week, which, as we saw, put him under a significant amount of pressure. So I think that those are our 6 keys, I guess, to the game.
Yeah, not bad.
So that's that.